Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, this afternoon, what seemed like a major setback for the wider family of highlife legend Daddy Lumba has been resolved after the Accra High Court lifted its injunction on his funeral arrangements, clearing the way now for the ceremony to proceed tomorrow. In an earlier ruling, the court noted that the affidavits before it suggested the immediate family had been sidelined in the planning process, stressing that the substantive issues needed proper consideration. The judge subsequently recalled lawyers for both parties and ordered the applicants to appear before 2 p.m. today and pay 2 million Ghana cedis into court to defray the costs already incurred in the funeral preparation. When the applicants failed to meet the deadline, their plea was struck out, removing the final legal hurdle and allowing the final funeral rites to continue as planned. Well, counsel for the family head, Thomas Kujose, described the decision as a huge relief, saying the family can now proceed with the final preparation. The earlier injunction had briefly halted the activities to spark concern among relatives and family members, as well as fans already gathered in Kumasi for the solemn event. Now, with the application dismissed, tomorrow's funeral arrangements are back on course. Let me take you to court and speak to my colleague Fatal Bayaga, who has been there for us all morning. First, tell us what exactly happened in court today.
So today, lawyers from both parties, that's the first defendant, the family head, and the 5 individuals who claim to be the maternal family members of the late legend, came to court. And in fact, in this particular court issue, the applicants, that's the individuals who claim to be from the maternal family of Daddy Lumba, what they were looking for was for the court to halt the funeral process. They, basically, in the argument, said that the family head does not have the legitimacy to lead the funeral process. Apart from that, they also said that donations that were made after the demise of Daddy Lumba were being siphoned by the family head. Those were some of the allegations that they made, and they wanted the court to look into that and also halt the funeral process. They also wanted the court to bar the family head from accessing the account of Daddy Lumba's foundation. So these were the arguments that they put before the court. The other party, denied these allegations and asked the court to, allow the funeral process to continue, because they believe that Daddy Lumba, he was a legend, and a person of his caliber should not be kept for a very long time. But the presiding judge listened to both sides and, placed an injunction on this particular funeral. So, before midday, it was clear from the court that the funeral was not going to come off. But later, we had information that they were recalled to the court by the judge. So we monitored that particular situation, and basically what happened was that the lawyers for the first defendant, that's the family head, basically said that they had spent so much money in terms of the funeral preparatory process, including, getting the venue and also getting canopies and other equipment, just to ensure that the funeral is done seamlessly tomorrow. And for that reason, if the court decides to put or place an injunction on this particular application, then it would go against them. So the judge, therefore, reviewed the application, and in fact, based on the information we have, a 2 million Ghana cedis undertaking was placed on the applicants, and they were asked to pay that before 2 p.m. And the information we have now, and speaking with the lawyers of the first defendants, that's the family head, said that this particular money was not paid, and that in court, technically, it means that the funeral is going to be held tomorrow. In fact, when 2 o'clock knocked, they began to celebrate, they began to jubilate, and they were calling other members of the family that they should get ready tomorrow. They are going to hold this particular funeral process. Even they said that today they will be flying down to Kumasi for this particular funeral process to be held. But firstly, interestingly, later, earlier in the day, the applicants were thrown into jubilation. They were like, this is a very good news from the court because Daddy Lumba cannot be kept for a very long time. He needs to be buried. The funeral process has to go on. And in fact, they were very happy that this had happened. But it's just quite unfortunate that, on their part, that this is happening at the moment. But the lawyers are still trying to get documents of confirmation that this particular process has happened.
Okay.
And I'll be talking to him. I'll be talking to him so that we get to appreciate the other details in terms of the conversation that is ongoing in relation to this particular matter.
But I thought that earlier the applicants that filed the suit, they expressed readiness to pay the 2 million Ghana cedis. What happened then? So
that's the information that we had, that they were ready to pay this money. But it was 2 p.m. We never saw them here. And the other party began to jubilate and saying that the other party, the lawyers for the applicants, they could not fulfill that particular money. And the lawyer for the first defendant clearly said that this is a good news for them and that tomorrow they are going to make this particular payment. We spoke to them a few minutes ago. In fact, they said that they want to get all the documents ready and then they will address the media in this regard. But it's a very interesting case in court today.
And is the lawyer currently available to have that interaction?
Yes, so I'll try to get the lawyer for the first defendant so that we can have a conversation. He is not here at the moment, but a representative of the family head is here, and I would like to just have a brief conversation with him in relation to this particular case. So he said he won't talk to us at the moment, because the lawyers are still going through the process of acquiring all the documents. But clearly, from what I'm seeing here, they seem to be very, very excited about what's happening at the moment.
Okay, Fatah, we'll come back to you once you have that interview ready. Let me take you now to Kumasi. My colleague Clinton Yeboah is on the ground so far. I want to start with the reaction of individuals in Kumasi, because earlier we saw preparation were ongoing, but because of this court ruling, some of them were distraught. What's their reaction as we speak?
The reaction here is varying because there are people who support the court's decision. There are also people who say that the court has set a bad precedent and it conflicts with traditional governance. So I would speak to some of the supporters who have gathered here to show solidarity in and for and against whether they agree to the court decision. But it's important that we note that what many of the people who support the court decision are saying is that, of course, it's the legend and Daddy Lumba's funeral. It's important that it's organized in a way and as soon as possible, because if it is not, it will not cause the attention that we need. But of course, the people who are also not in support of the court's ruling are saying that this is not a dignified way of burying a legendary like Daddy Lumba himself. And so I'll be engaging some of the supporters who have gathered here. And I saw a woman who was very, very, very distraught and was complaining bitterly why the funeral celebration or the funeral ceremony is delayed because of but there are still some supporters here who
whilst we try to reconnect our connection to Clinton Yeboah, on your screens now are visuals we had earlier from the paration grounds where the funeral is set to commence tomorrow. We know that all the bottlenecks have been removed and currently the applicants failed to meet that 2 million Ghana cedis deadline payment that they ought to have made by 2 p.m. today. And so the court's injunction on the funeral processes have been struck out. What this means is that the family members now have the all clear to continue with the funeral arrangements. We've been engaging individuals earlier in our earlier bulletin where they've been telling us how sad they feel about that court ruling. But now that we're hearing that that ruling has been set aside, we're just going back to get their reaction. What this would then mean is that preparation would continue and that funeral will commence tomorrow. Clinton is back with us. I can see your connection is better now. Clinton, you were just about to engage some of the residents there.
Yes, firstly, I'll be speaking to some of supporters who have gathered here at the funeral, at the preparation grounds. Right, Obaha, Itiano, Pabisisa, and the supporters, and semi, them Democratic from say, Yen and Master. Telling in our Boma, why do you find the same?
Oh, my doing the answer. Because, say, it's Yammy Dana, I'm a Palom Dana Maraho. Because, I dare say, it's Yamina, but yeah, I read Mr. Babas. So, I'm a cousin, and I'm enemy. Get an answer. As you ever heard, I don't go to Amsterdam, Tiawa, and still my cousin, Abasonia, Yanyapa.
Push that today, yet to near my file, we the Fahana, we should be a Faha. More, Daddy Lumba, you see in your number, what did you?
I need your pass the bus.
See, Yami Adama, Cosia, Yami Admachina, however.
Papa, and then you let me do Mamma, the Mamma, that's a massage was for Cosia Matwas.
What he's saying is that earlier when they received the news from the court, they were shown in confusion as to whether the funeral will be coming on or as to whether they should still continue hoping that the funeral will come on. But of course, after receiving news that the funeral, a go-ahead has been given, they are now packing their boots to be available and participate tomorrow. Papa, na ohwani mu se bibia ekoso kama yami adoma otina court say eye no betumi abaso ehwe sene confusion we the fahana we the faha eye na supporter of that member then our
Kaka mechanical parts aba se omu tu aseda no me ho kakra abikose na manso ne nsem bibinti na omu ntimi nya yi. But yet, the idea is say, court no, idea abase a year between about until the American say a vision to a monster. You will need your wuko. The job multinational and she has any Jumana. Or Monsieur Papa no was from you. Yes, yes, said, as from Giba, Bia Subecam, and she assured me, such a barbecue. I don't must say, oh, my Biamas will be up by Yin Airbus.
He also counts as part of the people who were disappointed and sad from the outcome of the court proceeding. But what he says differently is that the family should find an amicable way of resolving this without having to resort to a legal battle again. But I would engage more of the supporters who have come here. The also over have a chance, but they said the near my possible. Okay, so then I'm going to have enough to send a banner. You know, more money to Daddy Lumba, tell more.
Oh, maybe a Accra can say, what's it? My no, why Ghana, women are at the poor. I would say, maybe be up with the jeans. Was mine or no chance no on pen once. Aha, but say, what dear, and I'm some side, because you know, my children in India, sometimes to say, some of can. What is to buy Bawumia headache? In the months on supplements, even once any young players say, if you say, you pop up and I am never you to in a wound here. Aha, what will Samu, Samu, Mamma, say, if you are energy, now a year no, and last one, because said yet, for Abahar, just a minor or the four, or the four. In the Ghana for Ghana for penny for na ya mama na yi na yade anya bokko be de kakra mitima kan.
He also joins the people who are calling for the family to find a suitable and a more subtle way of resolving this without having to resort to the very loud and controversial way of resolving the issue. He mentions that Daddy Lumba's lyrical influence in his songs have had some standing in his life that he feels that this should be a way to honor him and not paint his image in the and disappoint him. But I'll still be engaging more of the supporters. Papa Mpacho, Yansha, Coach, Border or Dubai, when he's over.
But I mean, many you. And you Timuka Kapata, you. And then Yavaya. Kumasi, if you need, or you fool. Or come, Yavaya. Obey you. Jimmy. What's happening, Yavaya? We are here. Yavaya.
Earlier, when I spoke to some of the sponsors or supporters, they were very firm on the decision that.
Clinton, you have to unmute for me to hear you. I've lost connection to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can, loud and clear.
So earlier when I spoke to some supporters of the musician, they made mention that they are very firm on the decision that even if court comes out with a varying position that there shouldn't be any funeral, they are very resolute on the decision that they will find a way of honoring the musician for whom they have loved the whole life and the entire life. We will be on the ground here at the preparation ground here at the Zero Park at the Bawumia Sports Stadium. There are lots of hundreds of fans who have been looking in and out, gauging how the preparations are. All the canopies behind me were set up in the morning. Earlier when I spoke to some of the workers who are setting up the tree, they made mention that it should be done by evening, which will make way for the funeral tomorrow. But yeah, we would be engaging them more, and we will stay here until the latest news drop, whether from court or even from fans. My name is Clinton, and I've been reporting from Kumasi.
Thank you, Clinton Yeboah. Away from that, a Chinese-owned warehouse at Kwanta in the Ashanti region has resumed the production of champagne machines months after the Environmental Protection Agency shut it down. The facility was closed earlier this year when officials discovered partially assembled champagne components, metal molds, and welding station believed to support illegal mining operations. Let's go on Zoom now and speak to the acting Ashanti Regional Director of the EPA, Sydney Kwekudan. So we appreciate your time here on the Pulse. On the grounds, when you went to survey the area, what exactly did you find? You'd have to unmute for me to hear you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please. I can hear you now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can.
Can you please hear me?
Yes, please,
okay,
I can.
So thank you very much, and then a good afternoon. So the EPA a month ago embarked on closure of champagne manufacturing companies or shops in the Ashanti region. And during the exercise, we were able to lock down 23 warehouses at the time. The rationale was to actually ensure that supplies of these equipment do not reach the end users. Those are the illegal miners. Yes, it's true that most of these warehouses have been opened, but the issue was just to ensure that these items are not sold to the wrong people, and also ensure that they are not supplied to people that actually are not the actual users.
But if they've been opened now, how are you sure that the manufacturing of the champagne will not still go to the wrong hands? What safeguards are you putting in place?
We gave these warehouses permit to operate, and we met them and revoked most of their permits. The conditions given to them was that they will not sell. We've taken stock at the point of opening and asked them to reapply for permits so that any item that they want to sell, who they want to sell to, we can take inventory of them. Currently, these warehouses are not only selling illegal mining equipment. So we've taken stock of those who are not doing that. And then we've opened those who don't have these items or have other items that they are selling. They are all of their permits are being reviewed as I'm talking to you, and only 13 have actually reapplied based on the conditions that we've given them. We are not allowing them to open just because we want them to open, but they have conditions that we have outlined in the schedules that were given to all.
So let me clarify, this Chinese-owned warehouse at Amia in Kwanta, they now have permits to operate?
Okay, so every warehouse that is in this country has a permit to operate. And within the permit condition, they spell out what to sell. So these warehouses in Amia Kwanta have identified or notified us of what they want to actually sell, which is in their permit condition. And again, these things that they are selling, some are illegal, some are legal. So the ones that we find as illegal, we put a halt to them, taking stock and then reconsidering their permit. In fact, the permit condition itself do not allow the production of chamfer machines. And I can tell you that when you go to Amia Kwanta today, no warehouse or those production centers are producing any of this equipment. Yes, warehouses have been opened, but they are not selling any of the chamfer machines that we identified and taking stock of.
And how sure are you that that's the case? Do you have reps monitoring the operations on the ground as you speak?
Yeah, as the acting regional director, yes, I have reps. And then let me also let you know that staff even in the Manchester Central office have been transferred. 2 staff have been transferred from that office due to some of the issues that were raised at the time. So the EPA itself is taking steps to ensuring that right things are done in the right way. Yes, steps are being taken. We have taken stock of every item identified in each warehouse, and we've come to a consensus with the Chinese that they should give us time, which they have given, and then we are meeting them heads on to prepare a schedule that is befitting and for the commodity that they want to actually sell. If you want to sell mining equipment, there are procedures and there are regulations to that. We'll definitely give them that condition if they want to sell mining equipment and who they want to sell to. So we haven't left them. Yes, we are monitoring them closely. Our men are always on the ground, from the Obuasi office to the Bekwai office to the Kumasi office. We are coordinating our efforts and we are ensuring that, yes, these warehouses do not sell. And I must add that the warehouses in Ahujo, which is heavily dominated by Chinese, are also being monitored. And we've taken stock of all items that were delivered from last month and up to date. We have the records.
And these 2 staffs that you say they've been transferred, what exactly were their wrongs? What happened on the ground based on your investigations?
Yeah, these are management issues, and management is dealing or looking into most of some cases, allegations that have been laid. But we believe that EPA staff, you cannot stay at one place for so long, because when it happens, conflict of interest issues happen. So when you stay at one place for maybe long, 4 years, 5 years, yes, you can be transferred. So it's not just because of what they said, but it's the policies of the authority that sometimes help us to identify and then reassign staff as and when.
Thank you so much, Sydney, for your time here on The Pulse. Well, away from that, let's head now to Parliament. The Majority Leader, Mahama Ayariga, has announced that he will reconsider the decision to push a private member's bill to repeal the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act to scrap the office. This follows a request from the President, John Dramani Mahama, to both the Majority Leader and the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, not to proceed with the proposed bill. My colleague James Savage joins us live from Parliament right now with more on this. James, what led to this statement from the Majority Leader?
Well, firstly, so you recall that The Deputy Minority Whip, Habib Idrisu, raised this issue on the floor of Parliament yesterday and was demanding some answers. And so today he did not hesitate at all when the House was deliberating over the business of the day and next week, where Honorable Habib Idrisu came in and raised again the question about the position of both the majority leader and his majority whip on the request from the president and whether or not that bill will see the light of the day following this particular request. We can listen to him as he forcefully made the request or the point on the floor of Parliament a while ago.
That we raised the issue in this chamber. There was comment on both sides of the House, and the Parliament is a house of records. The majority leader was on his feet, and he said that he is going to introduce a private member's bill to repeal the OSP. I have seen that you said we are adjourning on Friday, but I cannot find that bill in here. I want to find out from you whether you are abandoning it or not. And also, Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that the private members bill and motion committee, able chaired by you, sat on this matter to the effect that you wanted to see the legality of the repeal of the OSP Act. And we know with the constitutionality about it, and then your committee will advise, Mr. Speaker, whether it is admissible or it should be allowed or not. And Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that there is a request to the majority leader and the majority chief whip to abandon the repeal of the OSP. I want to find out from the majority leader whether he will still introduce the repeal of the OSP or he will not, because he stated in here that he will be introducing it. So if you will not introduce it again based on the request of the president, and we know that our majority leader, excuse my language, if it is the case that the majority leader doesn't have a mind of his own at the moment, if it is the case that the majority leader doesn't have a mind of his own, he should let us know, and that he will not be introducing the repeal of the OSP bill again.
James, the majority leader responded to this. What did he say?
Well, firstly, the majority leader said, in fact, he began by re-emphasizing the basis for that move they wanted to do and the position of both sides of Parliament when the debate came up last week, and then went on further to say that, in fact, he believes in the wisdom of the president, and that due to, on the basis of that, he believes that himself as well as the majority whip, Honorable Roxanne Nelson, the Apamekpo, will take a second look at their move. He talks about the fact that as we speak, the bill was ready, it was forwarded to the Speaker, who then forwarded it to the Private Members Bill Committee to look at. And the chairman of that committee is the First Deputy Speaker, Honorable Bernard Ahiafo, and he said that that is where the bill is as we speak, but because of the call from the president, he and the majority chief whip, Roxanne Nelson, would have to take a relook at their position again.
It's true that we raised the issue in this chamber. There was comment on both sides of the House, and there appeared to be some consensus about dealing with the office by way of reconsidering the existence of the office. The Speaker then gave an indication that we know what to do as a House if we feel strongly about whether an institution should exist or cease to exist. Pursuant to that, I did submit a request to the Speaker to grant approval for a private member's bill calling for the repeal of the office to be considered by the Committee on Private Members' Bills, and the committee did sit because when I submitted the bill to the Speaker, co-signed by my colleague, the Majority Chief Whip, Speaker did refer the bill to the Private Members Committee. The Private Members Committee sat on the bill and gave approval for us to lay the bill, and I signed it. It is true also that yesterday there was a statement, not a letter, a statement by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama requesting that I reconsider my decision. Mr. Speaker, we all know that two heads are better than one. The popular saying is that two heads are better than one. So if His Excellency the President also has some thoughts about it, and I also add mine to his, I believe together we can find a better way of managing the situation. So I can assure you that I will take on board the request by His Excellency the President for us to think about our action. And I can assure you that I have always had confidence in the wisdom of the President. I have always had confidence in the wisdom of the President. Indeed, if I didn't believe in his wisdom, I wouldn't have voted him to be a president. And so, on the basis of the request made to me by His Excellency the President and my colleague, the Majority Chief Whip, I want to assure you that we will reconsider our decision. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
James, and what's the response of the minority? Are they satisfied with this position?
Well, according to Habib, the question has not fully been answered. His question was whether the bill will find its way onto the floor of Parliament. And so, as far as it's concerned, that particular question is not answered. But the chairman of the committee, who is the first deputy speaker, also sitting in the chair, presiding over affairs, then steps in and insisted that the answer is enough, and that since the bill is before the committee, they would also look at it and at the right time communicate appropriately to the House on whatever the committee has decided on that.
Thank you so much, James Aveji, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Now, away from that, crashes involving motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, are spiraling. In just the first few months of this year, 1,079 crashes were recorded, a sharp rise from 883 during the same period in 2024. It is a grim sign, really, that indicates indiscipline among motor riders and the fact that this is indeed accelerating faster than the country's response. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in our feature titled Red Means Go.
At major intersections in Accra, the red light does not always mean stop. It is often just a color on a pole, and for some commercial motorcycle riders, popularly known as Okada, it is a race against the law and sometimes against life itself. In broad daylight at La Paz, a motorcyclist jammed the red light, swerved onto the pedestrian pathway, and rode straight into oncoming traffic. I saw it happen and we followed him.
It's our turn to go, you understand, for the U-turn. And that's why I come to that line where the cars they've blocked that road, and I'm here is my working place. So that's why I said no, they make a come because here there is my area. So I go feel move come in it.
But was it right?
No, it's not right. They come around there, it's not right.
Yeah.
I was having train.
At Medina Zongo Junction, the story was same, if not worse. Riders dart across intersections, one narrowly escaped being hit, not once, but twice, as the light stays red. Paul Kwesi has been riding for more than a decade. Medina Zongo is his base. In April 2022, the Ghana Police Service, under the then IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, launched Operation Pari, which stands for Police Action Against Riders and Discipline, came in response to alarming data. Motorcycles were the leading cause of road accidents-related deaths and the second leading cause of injuries in the country. Buzanga remembers what the Pari initiative did for his own riding culture.
The introduction of Dampare, then this red light issue came into effect, and very serious. We have been educated, and due to Dampare education, gradually, we will stop at the red light, and there is no police harassment. You see, and it has reduced a lot of this dying accident. If you don't wear helmet, it's your own case, but obey the red light. That is the law of Dampare, and this law too has benefited us a lot.
Say traffic so Dampare or the number 2 was say so rider obi engine police bia obeju usika bibia make sure so obewuni din no be report e be treasury police ni akere the reason oji usika no Dampare was saying travelers do so rider obi engine or the number obi engine ba wo Accra this year omujanya kwan echi moto the motor phones police no mugane.
Police motorbike teams were stationed at key intersections. Riders were educated. For a while, the change was visible, but 3 years on, the brakes seemed to have failed.
Because of this policeman in my mind, I decided to swerve one car, not knowing that the one taking this way is green for them. You see, that was my first injury, if you can see here and here. That was my first escape of death.
Oh, the brace, I'm of regency, anyhow, as in the brace, see what red was one who came be a cross. No, what I've heard police here. Regency, the guy couldn't pay.
Between January and March 2025, Ghana recorded a disturbing surge in road traffic accidents. According to data from the National Road Safety Authority and the Ghana Police Service, 3,674 clashes were reported, up nearly 8% from the same period last year. These crashes involved over 6,100 vehicles and left 4,287 people injured. Even more alarming, 752 lives were lost, a 23.5% increase in deaths. These numbers paint a clear picture. Road safety is deteriorating, and unless stricter measures are enforced, particularly among vulnerable groups like motorcycle riders, the toll on human life would only continue to rise. Critics warn, without a clear mechanism to ensure that all road users, especially motorcycle riders, strictly adhere to traffic regulations, legislation could worsen the already fragile road safety situation. The question is not just about enforcement. It is about whether Ghana is ready to pull the brakes on a growing culture of recklessness. A forward-looking solution must combine strict licensing, rider education, visible policing, and technology-driven enforcement. Until then, Every red light ignored is a warning signal we cannot afford to keep missing. Imano Jivenu, Joy News, Accra.
Well, the Transport Minister, Joseph Bukari-Nikwe, has vowed to crack down on reckless driving and boost road safety measures now that the Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2025 is in the pipeline. The bill is expected to be signed into law by the President, John Dramani Mahama, and that will pave way for the commercial vehicles like quadricles, tricycles, motorcycles as well, popularly known as Okada, to hit Ghana roads legally. While speaking to journalists, Bukari-Nikwe outlined the safety protocols being put in place, emphasizing the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority and the National Road Safety Authority will be tasked to enforce the regulation to maximize risk.
Bill seeks to provide for limits in alcohol concentration in drivers. We have noticed of late the behavior of drivers on our roads and the road accidents, and all leads to injuries and deaths. And we believe that the alcohol concentration that the then law had some effects or influence on drivers, whether they are drunk and driving, whether they are fatigued and driving, and whether they are careless on roads or they do not take concentration on driving. And so we brought it down from 0.08% to 0.05%. We also looked at age limit. A lot of our youth also having interest in engaging in commercial driving or riding had this issue of age limit to them. And either it was 25 years before you could do commercial business as a driver or a rider. But we have also reviewed and amended this very act to allow our youth who are 21 years of age to be able to engage in these commercial activities. It has a lot of procedures you have to follow, especially the motor riders who are going to get the opportunity to be engaged in this commercial business. You have to register as a commercial motor rider that will do commercial business. And you have to belong to a union. You also have to have the standard that DBLA will set for you in terms of your protective gear, the helmet, the kind of motorbike you have to use. And so there are processes that we have to go through before they can engage.
As part of the new clauses, the bill has reduced the age to drive a commercial vehicle from 25 to 21 years. Spokesperson of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Abbas Moro, has been speaking on this new law.
Yes, it is, because we always create jobs for especially dropouts of school. And if we do not reduce, meaning we are piling up people who try to get into the driving industry. We try to pile them up by the 25 years. Now we have reduced it to 21 years, meaning the average court is open to employ all drivers or creating job and drop of schools. So it's welcome.
Away from that, all is set for tomorrow's AMA cleanup exercise, part of government's push to make Accra cleaner again. Although the monthly campaign is meant to improve sanitation, growing concerns remain about whether a single day of communal labor can significantly impact a sprawling, fast-growing city like Accra. Well, we'll get reactions from the Assembly, but first, here excerpts of that statement from AMA issued earlier today. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly just giving us notification ahead of that cleanup exercise expected to commence tomorrow at 6 a.m. It says the Accra Metropolitan Assembly wishes to inform all residents, traders, shop owners, transport operators and stakeholders that the third and final National Sanitation Day exercise for 2025 will be held on Saturday, 13 December 2025 from 6 a.m. until the exercise is completed within the metropolis. Now, going down to the final paragraph, it says that cleansing activities will include desilting and cleaning of open and covered drains, brushing and washing of road curbs and medians, sweeping of streets and lanes, removal of unauthorized banners and posters, and general cleanup of markets, lorry parks, beaches, and public spaces. And that's the statement from AMA. It goes on to state that the operation will cover all electoral areas, markets, and central business district, with intensified work in the following zones and states: areas like Choko, Chemuna, those areas, Dogo Beach, Graphic Road, and Agbogloshi as well. All in that statement, they specify the areas where they'll be going hard on that exercise. But let me bring in now, on Zoom joining me is Gilbert Ankra, his PRO of AMA. I appreciate your time. And now, tomorrow's cleanup exercise is starting at 6 a.m. Let's go through the areas you're going hard on and what informed that decision. You have to unmute for me to hear you clearly.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to your good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Just as you said, tomorrow is going to be the final National Sanitation Day since it was launched by President His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the year 2025. And within the AMA zone, we are focusing specifically around areas such as Choko, Chemwena. You know, the Chemwena area, there is a drain within that particular enclave, and currently the state of that drain is not that good. So as part of this final sanitation day exercise, we are going to focus on that particular area to ensure that we desilt those drains within those various enclaves. Now, if you look at the Choko area, there are some other inner lanes and all that. We'll focus on these areas. And the decision for Choko, Chemwena is because of the intense population within that particular enclave. If you look at the areas such as Dogo Beach, which is around the Lavender Hill area, we've realized that consistently we have solid waste being washed from the sea onto the shores. So within that particular area, we'll be focusing to ensure that we clean the shoreline and then improve the environmental hygiene within that particular enclave. So around the Dogo Beach, that is what we are also going to do. Now, if you look at the Graphic Road and then Agbogloshi, we are also going to ensure that these various areas, the drains within along the shoulders of the road, will do some major desilting works within these areas as well to ensure that as the rains come, it will not flood those areas as well. Agbogloshi has been on the heart of the Mayor, Honorable Michael Kwakwalote, and since we began this National Sanitation Day exercise, we've ensured that consistently we are at Agbogloshi. Our Clean Ghana campaign being championed or supported by multimedia, Joy News, we've concentrated on Agbogloshi. So we're still moving on Agbogloshi because, as we know, Agbogloshi is the largest food market we have in the city of Accra. So these are areas that we'll be focusing on. But that notwithstanding, I will have our assemblymen also doing some work within their various electoral areas. We'll also be concentrating on the central business district, the major markets that we have, Mokola, to ensure that we do the silting and then do the cleaning this time around, as it's going to be the last. You know, there are a lot of people in town now, so we want to ensure that this exercise go a long way to clean the entire enclave, to usher us into the Christmas festivities.
And how long will it be?
Yes, we're still maintaining the same time from 6 a.m. till the exercise is over. Most of the time, what we've realized is that you have a lot of people who don't participate, and then when we say 10 a.m., they come after 10 and then open their shops. This time around, it's not going to be business as usual. We're going to ensure that after the work is done, we'll have public health officials moving into the various enclaves to determine whether the place is quite suitable before the various shops will be open for trading activity. So that is going to be the timeline that we'll be using.
But some traders are concerned that sometimes the exercise takes the whole day and makes it difficult for them to conduct business on that day. How do you respond to their concerns?
Yes, that is quite understandable. That is why if you look at this very National Sanitation Day as launched, it's about communal labor. And so we want to urge everybody to participate. If we come together and then we embark on the cleanup exercise, we'll be able to complete on time. So everybody should come on board. So that within the various areas, if you live in an area where, for instance, the shop next to you is not doing the cleaning, ensure that owners of those shops also embark on the cleaning exercise so that together we'll be able to complete the exercise on time, just as so that all of them will move and then embark on their trading activities.
Thank you so much, Gilbert Ankra, his PRO for AMA. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Well, away from that, let's shift our attention to politics. The race for the NPP flag bearership race is heating up as January approaches. And on a Friday like this, we're tracking the momentum of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team, which is currently touring the Tolon district. Join us now this afternoon on phone is Deputy Director of Communications, Dr. Ekwa Amwako. Thank you, Ekwa Amwako. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. I'm wondering how the candidate is doing, especially in Tolon this afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Let me say a big good afternoon to yourself, everyone in the studio, and everyone watching us at home. And if you can please repeat the question for me.
What's the candidate's message now on the ground, and how is he being received in that constituency this afternoon?
Oh, okay, very well. So the reception, as most people would expect, has been one of outstanding euphoria. Everywhere we get to, there's a very huge and deliberate attempt by the delegates to make us feel very welcome. I personally have been made to feel very welcome in the Upper West constituency. So we started our tour in the Upper West constituency on Wednesday, where we started from the Wa West constituency, Wichao, then we came to Wa Central, and we ended on that day because we had to start a little late. So on Thursday, we did Wa West, we did DBI, we've done Nadoli Kalio, and currently we are in Nandom heading towards Laura. So the message has pretty much been the same. The delegates of the MPP know Dr. Bawumia. They can attest to his good character. They know that about him already. They just want him to come so that they can reassure him that the journey that was started in 2023 is not complete, and they are recommitting to him that they are going to stand firmly behind him until victory is achieved.
And what's next on your agenda based on your itinerary?
So we're from Nandom, we are heading to Laura, then to Jarapa. We'll wrap up our tour of the Upper West region tomorrow, which is Saturday, and then head to Upper East region.
And so far...
But I think one of the key takeaways from the tour so far has been that the delegates have tried to make us understand that they will not allow their personal differences to cost the MPP and to cost Ghana a Bawumia presidency, because they are beginning to see even more evidence of his good work, even though he's in opposition. Like some of the stories that came out earlier this week on the Star Oil piloting this initiative for the buy now, pay later. So these are all things that have now been coming up again and reassuring the delegates that, indeed we're on the right path and that this continues to unite behind His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Come 2029, we'll be able to have victory and continue the progress and the development we were doing in Ghana.
Thank you, Dr. Ekwa, for your time here on The Pulse. You're still watching The Pulse. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us. After this quick 10, we have more. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, this afternoon, I want you to imagine Imagine watching your child die, not because treatment doesn't exist, but because it is only available abroad and far beyond your reach. That's the painful reality of Ghanaians battling acute leukemia, a cancer of the bone and bone marrow, as well as blood. Here are excerpts of John News' latest special assignment, Leukemia, Last Chance Abroad, produced by my colleague Emmanuel Jivenu, highlighting the urgent need for a bone marrow transplant center right here in Ghana.
Jesus.
Every year, families walk into hospitals seeking answers and walk out with a diagnosis that changes everything.
Cancer of the blood and bone marrow. I was like, leukemia. How? Why? When? It was like a very bad, terrible joke on First April.
A disease that steals the young, the strong, the hopeful.
That's my baby's last moment. Today, December 19th. I shall not die. I can deal with a lot of things, but to see him in pain, that one will kill me. I watched her, she took her last breath. My baby was gone.
Send me. On your shade, that's it.
The treatment can be quite difficult and also expensive.
The average Ghanaian, we can't afford it.
We're so broke to the point that we couldn't afford to pay our hotel bills. They sacked us from the hotel.
While some cross oceans to buy a chance to live, others will run out of time, waiting, praying, begging.
When I would have turned out better if we had the facility here.
A more sustainable solution would be to have a center here in Ghana and West Africa.
Like a year, it's okay. Enough.
Leukemia, Last Chance Abroad. A Joint News special assignment documentary powered by the Leukemia Project Foundation and the Joint News Impact Makers Foundation.
Meanwhile, legendary Ghanaian rapper Sarkodie has joined the Joint News Impact Makers Foundation and Leukemia Project Foundation in advocating for the establishment of Ghana's first bone marrow transplant center. Let's listen.
Oh, what's up, guys? This your boy Sarkodie, Sarkodie Obidibipon Bidi. Listen, every child deserves a chance to live, dream, and grow. But right now, many families in Ghana are losing loved ones to leukemia because we don't have the right treatment facilities here at home. That's why I'm standing with Leukemia Project Foundation and the Joint News Impact Makers Foundation to call on you, everyone, my people, to join this fight. Together, we can build Ghana's first hematology and clinical genetics center and give hope to the children and families battling blood cancer. Your support, no matter how small it is, can save lives. The time to act is now, so please donate.
Hilary Osei Boache is president of the Leukemia Project Foundation. He joins me live on Zoom. Jared, this time you're not in the studio, but via Zoom. So far, how is your donation going? Getting good money? Are we on track? You have some need for us to hear you clearly.
Yeah. I'll say thank you, but I was scared. You said I'm not in the studio. I'm scared if I join you in the studio, you make me cry.
Oh?
So.
Oh, I promise I won't. So how is the donation going so far?
Well, it's trickling in, thanks to you and all the awareness that we're creating. We've had a few in-kind support, engineers and planners and Jata Cement. People are donating like some of the materials that we'll need. And I mean, both works, because anything that would make us get to our goal faster that's our objective.
And that's great. So what's the next line of action now?
So we'll have to step up. You know, unfortunately, the period is not too good for a lot of corporates because the budgeting is the end of the financial year and preparing their budgets. It's also good because then they're preparing their budgets. Then, so we need to step up our awareness, and then we're doing some direct engagement and trying to get straight into people's budget and top of people's minds and win hearts as well, so that whether it's in kind or cash donations, we have to push them out, force them out of the pipeline.
And then let me bring in at this point in time one key individual that has been following this closely, Professor Ivy Ikem. She's Dean of School of Medical Sciences, University of Cape Coast. She joins the conversation as well. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. This is quite worrying, and we want to start with some education. For some people watching, they do not understand why exactly we're embarking on this campaign in collaboration with the Leukemia Project Foundation. But then we want to bring the conversation home. How dire are some of these cases, and what exactly have you seen so far in your line of work?
Okay, thank you very much. First, let me make a little correction. I'm the former dean.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so...
and she was also a founder. She's also a founder. One of the early people that brought me in.
Okay, Gerald, thank you very much. So, talking about leukemia, in short, it's cancer of the blood cells. And there are different forms of it. There is the acute form, where individuals present soon after the disease starts. And there is the chronic form, where the individual may not even know that they are unwell. Sometimes
Oh, there, Prof, we seem to be losing connection to you. If you can just position rightly, I think you may have to unmute for us to hear you.
Okay, is it any better? Unfortunately, I'm by the roadside, so forgive me.
Oh, that's fine.
Is it any better?
Much better now. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you. So I was talking about the acute and chronic forms. So for the acute forms, the individual will present pretty early because the disease starts very bad and acutely, if I should put it that way. For the chronic form, the individual may not even know that they are unwell. Sometimes they've just come to hospital for some other tests or for a checkup, and it turns out that they are unwell. The major problem with it is, like all cancers, the treatment is difficult and it is also expensive. And being a blood cancer, the very system that needs you to work, like everybody needs the blood flowing through them regularly and good quality for them to be able to do whatever duties they have to do. But once you have cancer of the blood, it becomes very difficult. And where we come in with the Leukemia Project Foundation is that because of the expense and the fact that a lot of people, the average person, finds it very difficult to first do all the investigations necessary and also get the money for the payments. We want to be a group that supports not only these patients in their funding, which we can't do too much of anyway, but also for them to get all the treatment options necessary. Because as at now, especially for the acute form, the one called acute myeloid leukemia, often to get reasonable long-term care, or long-term, to be alive for very long, it's important that they have the option of of a procedure called the stem cell transplant. So what we are looking to put up is not only a facility for all patients with leukemia, whether acute or chronic, but also for them to have all the options of treatments.
And then finally, before I let you go, Prof, are there symptoms that we can look out for to detect this early?
Thank you. So as I mentioned, for the chronic form, you may not notice anything, but occasionally some of them have their spleen getting enlarged, so their stomach gets big for one of the chronic forms. For the acute form, the initial symptoms and signs may look like any other illness, like malaria, like an upper respiratory tract infection, because suddenly your HB, your hemoglobin goes down and you feel weak. You may have a temperature because your white cells are not working well and you get infections easily. You may bleed because there is one of the cells in the blood called platelets may become low and therefore you bleed. So these are some of the early symptoms.
Thank you so much, Prof. We appreciate your time. And let me wrap up with Gerard. I'm sure right now we are seeing on our screen shortly all the bank details, but I'd like you to wrap up with us with your final words and words of encouragement, especially to the public and private individuals who are willing to support this initiative. Gerard, your final word to them.
So I'd just like to thank all those who are coming on board since we started this awareness. And then what is even very important and very special for us is in the different people from different walks of life. You heard Saka come on board. I mean, these are opinion leaders, people that make mean something else to other people. And so when we hear you speak, when your fans hear you speak, they pay attention more to the issues at stake, and that is what I will encourage. Where leukemia is concerned, there's no competition amongst corporate, there's no competition amongst commercial white sales goods, there should be no competition amongst stars and all these musicians. Where leukemia is concerned, we need to be together.
Thank you so much, Jared. And we have a documentary on this, which will be airing soon on the Joy News channel, so you should stick and stay with us. Away from that, it's time now for me to bid you farewell. But then, yesterday I went to Parliament. I've been engaging the Deputy Majority Whip, the first Deputy Majority Whip, Comfort Doyo Ganza, on matters arising in Parliament. First of all, this controversy about this OSP Act. We've been hearing from the Majority Leader just tell us that they may be reconsidering this moving forward. Well, she also spoke about that. We've also been engaging her on some of the scenes we saw play out in Parliament, the melee, when the minority abandoned their seats, charged to the center of the chamber, and demanded that proceedings be halted as they registered their displeasure about the Pandai seats. All that, as well as key issues in Parliament, we engaged there on in this broadcast that will be playing to you shortly. My name is Faustina Safo, and that's how I'll be leaving you in the studio with this package that we have for you. Have a pleasant day, have a beautiful weekend, and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye. Thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. Today, I've left the studios to bring you all the way to Parliament to interact with a woman who has risen through the ranks. She's a member of Parliament for Adan East. She's currently the first Deputy Majority Leader in Parliament. She is Comfort Ganza, and she is actually one individual that I have followed and monitored her rise to Parliament for a long time. Today, I'm having a conversation with her. A lot of things are happening, and it's imperative we get the thoughts of the majority. So I'd like to start with welcoming her. Thank you for granting us this interview here at the Joy News channel.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk about Parliament. The most recent happening is that the President has written a statement requesting that the first Majority Whip, as well as the Chief Whip, and as well as the Majority Leader, withdraw that private members' bill that has been tabled, the draft bill that has been tabled, seeking the removal of the office of the Special Prosecutor. I'd like to start with your thoughts on that. You are part of the leadership of the majority. What's your initial response to the president?
Oh, I think he is the president, and normally when an elderly in the family, what he will see, if you, the child, you climb the hill, you will see. So he knows what he's seeing, and he knows why he said they should withdraw it, because that office is to fight corruption. So if the person championing the cause there is not good, doesn't warrant scrapping of the office. So what president is seeing is different from what my leader and the whip are seeing. If you feel the person there is not qualified or competent to be there, doesn't warrant the scrapping of the office, then what you seek is removal or put him on his toes so that he can deliver. But I think we should give him a time. We came long ago now, but let's see what happens.
So I'm sure you've been having your meetings in conclave since the president put out this statement. What would be your posture when you come up on the floor moving forward, and what's the fate of that draft bill?
They are now even drafting it, so it's not yet in the preliminary. So let's see what happens. But I don't think they will continue again. They will have a second thought, because when you want to do something in public office like this, you need a lot of consultation. So maybe after, as they said they are drafting, but they will do a lot of consultation. So if the majority said they should leave it, we leave it, because you cannot say you are working on your own. You are working the interest of Ghanaians.
The majority here, who are you referring to within the party as members of parliament on the majority side? Are there any individuals who disagree currently with that draft bill?
Nobody has disagreed with that drafting, but I'm saying they need to do a lot of consultation. They have to consult stakeholders, those who matter when it comes to such issues. You see, two of them cannot just say we are coming together to remove OSP. There should be a lot of consultation so that we move on.
But now that the president is requesting that you pull the brakes on that entire project, will you continue with your consultation?
They should abandon it. They should just abort it.
That's your independent opinion?
Yeah, they should just abort it. Because once the president said they should pull a brake, they should abort it for now.
I see. But you have also been engaging then, I'm sure, your leader in parliament. Is he willing to abort it?
Oh, since the president spoke on it, we have not met on these issues yet. But it's somebody who is a team player. And when we meet team players, they don't do things on their own. They work with. You cannot say I'm going alone. You cannot be a lone ranger when it comes to governance. So you have to respect different opinions.
And so have you set a timeline as to when you meet to discuss some of these things?
Not at all.
I see. But from where you stand, you're optimistic that this would mean the end of that draft bill?
I know. I believe that will be the end of it. How do you challenge the president? That's the president of the land, the gentleman of the land. So why do you challenge him?
But you are independent. The executive and the legislature, you're independent bodies of the whole governance structure. And so it's just a request. Will you have to go down on your stance because of the request?
We are independent, but we work hand in hand. We work hand in hand. So let's see what happens. But I don't think they will continue.
I see. We're looking forward to how that will pan out. But still in Parliament and some of the challenges you're facing, what would you say is the single most difficult bottleneck that you're facing in Parliament as we speak? And how are you dealing with it as leadership behind the scenes? What challenges are you facing?
Okay, in the chamber itself, the challenge is not as much because the speaker himself, when it comes to women, is with us. That's why he supported us to pass the Affirmative Act. And when it comes to putting women first, is number one. So for the chamber itself, we are okay. But the bottleneck is in the constituencies. Some of them, they don't understand why the MP should be a woman. And some of them, they are still teaming up against the woman in the constituency. So that's the area that I want us to look at, so that those listening to me or our listeners should see women as people who can also do better. And we are doing better. We are doing fine, because I'm their chairperson, and I always speak with them. What are you doing? You can see that they are always doing their best, try their best. But as a woman, before you be recognized, then you have to do 3 times what the man is doing before they will acknowledge that you are doing something.
And then I'm sure it must be difficult for you, because you're also the Member of Parliament for Adan East. How are you dealing with this on the grounds? Are your supporters with you?
Very, very. Very, very. We have a bond. The bond is there, me and my constituents. So for that one, you can't come in between us, because I'm for them, they are for me. I'm with them, and they are with me. I pray for them, and they also pray for me.
During the back and forth on the floor of Parliament, some couple of days back, I recall, when the minority abandoned their seats and charged to the center of the chamber. And there were a lot of, pulling and pushing. The marshals of Parliament came forward to try to control the situation. I saw you at the heat of the battle trying to calm tensions. How would you describe your experience in the 9th Parliament?
In fact, to me, every constituency should allow their MP to stay. They shouldn't attempt to remove an MP. If the MP is not doing something right, just correct the person and allow the person to stay. Because the chamber here is more than university. From archaeology to zoology, all passes through here. Unless you are not paying attention, unless you are not reading, you know much about the whole country, because everything passes through here. So the experience alone that I gain here, it to be suicidal, even if my constituency will say I should go. I shouldn't come back again, because the experience and what I'm doing and the work I'm doing to help Mother Ghana is more than enough. So I think so far, so good. So all that I will urge everyone is allow your MP to come, not once, not twice. Let him or her continue coming. When you continue voting for your MP, you get the experience, you get mates. Now, if you look at all the ministers, if you look at Honorable Rikopoku, I can walk to him anytime, any day. The first time my MP cannot do that. If you look at Agboja, I can go to him anytime. There was a time he was in a meeting. I walked to him in the meeting. You see, because we have been together for years and we have known each other for years. So going to him is not a problem. See him is not a problem. I don't need introduction. But the first MPs who have come, a lot of them, they don't even know their names. You now, hey, you say you're MP for where? You see, even some of them will be in this house. They don't even know where to enter for what. It will take you maybe your second term to begin to understand all those things. You see, a lot of things in this chamber, it will take you some years before you be able to stand fair for it. for it, especially in the chamber. When you are outside, it's different. When you enter the chamber, a lecturer who came this and said, I'm a lecturer, but to get up here and speak is a problem. And I say, yes, it's like a spirit in the room. The moment you get up, because you have it in mind that the whole Ghana is watching you. The whole world is watching you. So if you are not careful, you even forget your name.
So that brings me to my next question. If you're well aware that the whole world is watching you, including Ghanaians, your constituents, how is it that members of parliament can conduct themselves in such a way where there's pushing and pulling, you are fighting each other on live camera? We could see it was quite a scene during the Pandai seat controversy. Yeah, I always tell people that the chamber, as you see, we are 276, but it's not only the 276 that are working there. There are other unseen hands that are working that you don't see them. So you mean MPs are puppets to individuals outside of parliament? No. I'm not saying they are puppets. I said they are unseen hands. At times your constituency will even call you and say, we are watching on the TV. Why? Why is it that this one did this and all of you are looking at them? When they are disturbing the house and you are looking at them, can't you stop them? Then it looks like, so what do you do? And at times, national executives, what they did the other time, you can see that it is not their will, but it's voices from outside. Presidential aspirants, national executives, regional executives, their constituency are telling them what to do. And it happens to all of us. So we are not alone. You see. So what transpired on the floor? It was being pushed by the outside world? No, by their outside executives. That's what I would say. But how about your response as the majority? You also went on the floor, the chamber itself, also trying to push and pull. Because we are doing government business. When they are chanting, we are still doing government business. And there are MPs sitting this on our side, this to the other end. And speaker must see them so that he can catch their eye. We are doing our committee reports and the estimates. You see, so you see that I push them so I can clear the way for speaker to see. So if anybody stands in the way of speaker, I just go and say, no, leave there, leave that area. So the security and they are pushing to this side and to cover the faces of those sitting there. That's why I push them forward so that they can go and then be doing what they are doing, but they should give way for speaker to see those who are already working for Ghana. The minority said they would not recognize all those budgetary allocations, which you all agreed to on the floor of parliament, because they argued that the maize was not in the right position. The maize was there. When they were busy covering their face with masks, how would they see the maize? They won't see it. Nobody, if you are not careful, somebody will carry the maize and run away with it. So the man in charge of the maize stood behind the maize and was holding it, standing. Go and watch the TV well. Was holding it standing so that nobody will pick it and run away. Because if they run away with it, we cannot work. The maize might be there for us to work. So that's why he was standing behind it and holding it, and the maize was facing the way it's supposed to face. There is no law that says that nobody should hold the maize while we are working. So all we need to see is there, and it's pointing at the right direction. That's all. Let's talk about Pandai seat, the reason why this whole issue came up. You have had the opportunity to engage all these key individuals in parliament, including Marty Indam. Currently, the minority is of the opinion that that seat ought not to have been declared vacant. What's your thoughts about it from the majority side? The court has declared it vacant. So what do they want us to do? Should Pandai be there without MP? Where is their pink sheet? If they have evidence with their pink sheet, elections is about pink sheet. If you have your pink sheet and the total
it and you have won, and they have not tampered with the figures, nobody will come after you. I have my pink sheet, and the total of my vote that shows that I have won is there. So if somebody takes me to court, I only bring my pink sheet out and show it to them. If I show it to them, they tabulate it, and I'm leading. They leave me to go. So what is their pink sheet? If you don't want them to declare it, go and bring your pink sheet. We are making appeal, and so you are not bringing the pink sheet. You see, so the place is vacant, and we are going to do elections.
And you are confident you win that seat?
Why not? Who doesn't want a good thing? This is a good government. It's a good government. It's a government that you wake up in the morning, your petrol price has gone down.
But some people argue they're yet to see it real time, feel it in their pockets.
But you are buying petrol 16, and now you are buying it 12, and you are not feeling it. You are not seeing money in your pocket. When my V8, before MPP will leave, 2,000 Ghana cedis cannot even feel it. Now, if I have 1,002, I feel it. 800 difference. What do I want to see again? Just that those people are not satisfied with anything. Listen, rice from 550 to 350. 350, 360. Now, a lot of things, oils from 1,001 to 550. What do you want Mama to do again? He has really managed the economy very well. And everybody wants good things. Now he's on roads, doing roads. So you think Banda people, they don't need roads. They don't need any good thing that the government is doing. So they should go and bring somebody who cannot walk to the government to say, I need onion to go and give to my people. They will vote wisely. And we are going for the seat. They say the ball is in the center. And we will go and strike. The strikers, we are here. We'll go there.
Let's talk about your frank assessment of Parliament today. You are in different committees.
Yeah.
Are the committees still independent, or has partisanship eroded all your gains?
No, for committee, they are independent. For committees, there is no partisan there, unless maybe there's a bill or there is an issue that minority and majority will say we have taken a stand. Majority too will say we have taken a stand. But if not, then we are fine. We are good to go.
Ghanaians are very concerned. Ghanaians are concerned really that Parliament today is mostly on partisan lines. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, Parliament is on partisan line. I agree. We have minority is NDC. A minority is MPP, a majority is NDC. So we are all on partisan line, but we come together to work for Mother Ghana. So when you see us working together, we are working together for Mother Ghana, for the betterment of Ghanaians. So that one, we do it together.